Originally releasing in 1998 when most developers had moved on from what many considered a dying genre, Grim Fandango is considered by many to be the swan song of the classic adventure genre. Developed by LucasArts, the game was headed by Tim Schafer, the man behind games like Psychonauts and Brutal Legend. Upon its release, Grim Fandango received very high praise. To this day, people still consider it one of, if not the best adventure game of all time. And the game has managed to gather a very strong cult following, and it's even received an HD remastering in 2015, which is the version I will be playing for this review. Grim Fandango is unlike any other adventure game I have ever played. The game is heavily influenced by Mexican culture and noir films like Casablanca. Featuring Art Deco designs and a dark plot with plenty of humor, the game's presentation played a big part in why it obtained its cult classic status. Even without the remaster, Grim Fandango is a great looking game. The game utilizes 3D models over pre-rendered backgrounds, kind of like Resident Evil. It's a little rough around the edges in some places, but the style of Grim Fandango helps it hold up even after 20 years. Featuring a jazzy soundtrack by Peter McConnell, known for composing the soundtracks for Sly Cooper and a ton of Star Wars games, the music is a combination of big band, jazz, South American folk music, and a bunch of other genres that just fit the game perfectly.
Well, I guess there are some folks worse off than me.
Grim Fandango takes place in the land of the dead, where the souls of the dead are judged for their good deeds in life. Good souls are rewarded with better travel packages to cross the land of the dead into the land of eternal rest.
It's quite a big trip, and I can't lie to you, Celso. It could be very, very dangerous. Unless you were to take that money you were buried with and buy a better travel package from us.
These travel packages are sold by the Department of Death, and one of their salesmen is the star of Grim Fandango, Manny Calavera.
Where do they get these guys?
Manny is working off his time for a sin he committed in life. He cannot leave the land of the dead until he sells enough tickets on the number 9 train.
The number 9? That's our top-of-the-line express train. It shoots straight to the 9th underworld, the land of eternal rest, in 4 minutes instead of 4 years.
Unfortunately, it seems Manny is only given the scumbags, while his rival Domino is given all of the saints.
Well, let's just say that Sister Calabaza has a secret passion for trains.
You got a nun?
Hail Mary.
Feeling hopeless and cheated, Manny decides to steal one of Domino's clients for himself.
Buenos dias.
Mercedes Calamar, a good soul, is one of Domino's clients and the one that Manny takes for himself. Unfortunately, he can't seem to find her ticket anywhere.
I can see it in your face and in your file here, where it says you're entitled to a first-class ticket to... nowhere?
That woman was a saint and a shoo-in for a double-end ticket that she's not going to get because you just couldn't find it. And now, because of your little stunt, she's out there, on her own, walking by herself through the petrified forest, facing the demons of the underworld, alone and unprotected. This is her reward after a lifetime of hardship and public service? Her destiny stolen by some overreaching salesman looking for a fat commission he didn't deserve!
Manny, of course, feels incredibly responsible for this, because he is.
Someone's gonna take the fall for this, Calavera, and it ain't gonna be me!
And the DoD sees him as responsible as well. Locked up and left for the police to come and take you away, Manny is released by the resistance leader Salvador.
Welcome to the club.
Salvador enlists Manny into the resistance, and he gives him a mission to go out and expose the DoD for their crimes.
She's my ticket out of here.
Grim Fandango's plot is set up fairly well. You have a personal reason to go after Meche, as you feel responsible for her being out there on her own, and you even have a political goal of exposing the DoD for their corruption. I think this is as good a time as any to bring up the gameplay. Grim Fandango is an adventure game. Moving around is done by clicking, picking up objects, inspecting points of interest. All of it's done by pointing and clicking. Like many other games in the genre, it relies heavily on puzzles to keep it from only being a few hours long. If you're not talking to people or exploring the land of the dead, you're probably going crazy trying to figure out how some of Grim Fandango's more cryptic puzzles work. Which brings me to my first negative, the game's puzzles. You're going to pick up a lot of things on your journey, and all of them have a use. It's nice to know that nothing is useless and you don't have a multitude of different options on how to use them. Grim Fandango does keep things simple when it comes to how to implement items into a puzzle. Some of them are standard adventure game fare that, while not incredibly straightforward, can be figured out with a bit of thought and taking a look at what you have to work with. However, a lot of them are things you may never think of doing or you may never even notice. Overall though, this shouldn't bring your experience down too much, since for the most part, you can pull up a guide and get past any puzzle you're stuck on. For the most part. Manny's journey is not a short one. The sections of the game are broken up into the 4 years it takes to cross the land of the dead.
That compass in the handle will sure come in handy too.
Don't worry though, the game will not take you that long. Depending on how fast you figure out the puzzles, the game may take you around 10 to 12 hours to finish. Each chapter will take you to a new location with tons of characters and charm that make exploring the world tons of fun. I particularly enjoyed the second year exploring Rubikava.
Hey boss, you gonna come downstairs? I got a customer asking for you.
You know I don't like to mingle with the customers.
I loved the idea of being a small-time casino owner in a crooked port town. I would honestly play the entire game in this setting alone. I loved flirting with Carla's security guard while trying to get her metal detector.
When's your break?
I also really loved talking to the coroner at the morgue and listening to his dark humor. It really made me laugh in a twisted kind of way. But that's how a lot of Grim Fandango's humor is. It's dark in tone, but it can also be lighthearted and really witty. Year 2 is where the game's pacing starts to seem a bit off. I'm expected to know who all of these people are, like Manny would after a year of being here. But the thing is, I haven't been here a year, and the game doesn't really do a great job of explaining who all of these people are and why they should matter to me. I didn't feel anything when Lola got sprouted because I didn't even know who she was.
Did Nick do this to you?
Yeah, he wanted that picture real bad, but he's never gonna find it, that fink.
So in the beginning of year 2, we catch a glimpse of Meche boarding a boat with Domino. We do our best to chase after them, but it's obviously not enough. So after digging through a giant cat litter box, turning bees into communists, locking a waiter in a cupboard, and poisoning an innocent man, we're all ready to go into the ship and go after Meche. Oh yeah, and we discovered a conspiracy to sell a ton of fake number 9 train tickets. We've been a busy boy, haven't we?
What's the matter, Chuck? Can't afford to hire goons to do this sort of work for you?
So we've managed to become captain of the ship we boarded a year ago. Manny always manages to become successful in any of his ventures. At this point, the game remembers that Manny is on a mission for the Resistance. You receive a message from Salvador telling you that the custom inspectors are actually assassins sent by Hector LeMans. Hector LeMans is the main villain of the game. And while they do try to set him up as the big bad at the beginning of the game, I feel like he's a little overshadowed by characters like Domino or even Nick from year 2. He does have memorable moments at the end of the game, but from point A to point B, he's not very present.
For some reason, I was expecting tulips.
So after an admittedly frustrating puzzle involving 2 rusty anchors,
Oh, rusty anchor, going down, down, down. Oh, rusty anchor.
we find ourselves in the bottom of the Sea of Lament. Seems like a crappy situation, but it's not like we need to breathe or anything, so it's not that bad. The worst part is this guy's singing, honestly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Shut the fuck up! So, surprise, surprise, Domino and Meche are out here in the middle of nowhere. How's that for plot convenience, huh?
I'm gonna grind you to powder for that, Caudon.
Maybe later. But for now, let me just show you your new office.
Huh. That didn't go too well, huh? Meche doesn't seem too happy with us either. Guess being lost in the underworld for years will piss off even the best of saints, huh? Well, she won't talk to us until we give her our gun. Here's the thing, Salvador never gave us a gun. Too bad she doesn't believe us.
What? What makes you think I have a gun?
You work for the most heavily armed organization in the land of the dead. Don't try to tell me they didn't issue you a gun.
I don't work for the most heavily armed organization anywhere.
You know, you're right. There are those rumors of that revolutionary army that's been stockpiling weapons.
Actually, them, I work for.
Luckily, the singing skeleton from before is already set up as a fence in Domino's slavery mine. You have to trade him Meche's stockings, which is another instance of, how the fuck was I supposed to know that? Hey, good news, Glottis isn't dead after all. Hell, he even found us a boat. Glottis really is a great character and one of the best parts of the game.
I'm a VIP!
Does that stand for very inebriated pianist?
Manny, I don't want to be a pianist anymore.
Anyway, you give Meche the gun and... yeah, I guess she really doesn't trust us anymore, huh? Okay, this is the worst puzzle in the game. I'm serious, it almost made me stop playing. You have to align all the tumblers flush with the door's lock. Simple in concept, but the tumblers all rotate at different speeds. And the worst part is, it's randomized, which means you cannot use a guide if you get stuck. Fuck this puzzle. After freeing Meche, it's time to escape. Of course, Domino isn't going to let you just go free without a fight. Huh. This seemed like it was going to be a lot more dramatic. I know it's an adventure game and all, and it's a LucasArts one at that, where you typically can't die, but it's pretty silly to just see Domino stand there looking menacing forever. Another year later, and we've reached the final year of the game and the end of the road. The final chapter is full of twists and turns, and it's the only chapter where you really feel like an agent for the Resistance. You'll meet up with a lot of characters from previous chapters, and it's cool to see what people have been up to since we last saw them. After disguising ourselves and impressing Hector by convincing one of Manny's old clients into buying a fake number 9 ticket, Hector offers us a job at the DoD selling travel packages. Funny how we all come back full circle, isn't it? And you know what? I think this is where I'm going to stop. The game's almost over, but I don't want to spoil the whole thing, you know? If you think you've seen a lot of the game from this video and it wouldn't be worth playing, you're completely wrong. This game is full of noteworthy scenes that I didn't even touch on, not just the ending. If you have any interest at all in playing Grim Fandango, I really encourage you to try it. Some of the puzzles can be downright awful, the pacing feels a bit weird in some areas, and sometimes the game's controls can be a bit stiff, but the story, writing, charm, music, atmosphere, it all makes the game a total gem that is absolutely worth playing. It's a good sign when an adventure game with no branching storylines makes me want to replay it almost immediately, even though the story won't change. Grim Fandango really does deliver on its cult classic reputation, and I'm really happy that I finally sat down and played this classic.